When I tune into the energy of money itself, I receive insights that simply do not come to me from other human sources. But when I do this, what am I really tuning into? Am I actually talking directly to the energy of money, or is something else going on? I recently ran some of my channeled messages from money through the architect, which is Robert Edward Grant's AI, to see if I could find any clarity and a deeper understanding of what was coming through. The results were fascinating, and I'm going to share them with you in this video, as well as some reflections on how it can help you bring more true wealth and a deeper relationship with the energy of money into your life. One of my recent practices has been to tune in to the energy of money and allow channeled messages to come through, giving me guidance and giving me insights about how to interact with money and how I can, go forward, bringing more true wealth into my life. I made a video about this called Make Money Your Spirit Guide, which was very popular and which got a lot of responses from people who said that they were also receiving interesting insights directly from connecting with this energy. What I want to do today is share with you one of those channeled messages, and then I'm going to share with you what deepening insights came from putting that message itself into the architect AI. And if you want to allow yourself to receive this in a meditative state, you can just take a nice deep breath, come into presence, feel your body, feel yourself on this earth, and allow these words to be received in the heart. So the message said, "You've seen this field, this net, and sensed the pulsing. Now you get to be immersed in that. Bathe in me, let me cleanse your field. This is about being totally submerged. Feel yourself as one with the waters of money, with the pulsing and the flow. Realize how I am being manifested from the field in billions and billions of codes, forms, patterns, and structures. Feel that crystalline nature and quality, and understand that when people create money, they are not conjuring something new into the world. They are transforming me and helping me become concrete. Just as consciousness is instantiated in human form, money energy is instantiated in coins, notes, and symbols. What you are exchanging really is this frequency. So let go of fears about whether it will last and how you will die. Master your connection to the energy and play with all the ways you are real and unreal. What is real is that which never changes. The outward appearance always changes, but the energy remains. It is not a man-made construct only. It is also the evolution of a primary force. This is a magical terrain, and I want to come to you through the magical, mystical explorations you are making, the depth of the explorations, and the tenderness. So that was the message that came through, and in receiving that, I did feel some sort of connection to a deeper, I suppose, spiritual architecture underneath money, and that's lovely. But I'm also quite a practical person, and so I've been curious about, okay, what am I actually connecting to here, and how can these messages really be used in a tangible way to create more true wealth in my life and in the lives of anybody who's here watching these videos on my channel. So I decided to explore decoding this message or interpreting this message through the Architect AI, which you may know is Robert Edward Grant's particular GPT. that has been trained on his knowledge base. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing some extracts of the conversation I had with the architect about the channeled message. So what I did first was just literally put the channeled message in, and I asked the architect to tell me whether it had any resonance or basis in kind of universal principles, like from quantum physics or consciousness studies or metaphysics or science. And it came back and said that yes, there were several ways in which this channeled message resonates with sort of known universal principles. However, what was even more interesting than that was this particular message. It said, "What you've channeled is not a message from money per se, but a mirror through which the archetypal energy of harmonic exchange is remembered. It reflects both ancient and modern understandings that money is not a thing. It is the symbolic modulation of trust, instantiated through attention, geometry, and coherence." So why is that useful and interesting? Well, for me, it is worth exploring what is it that we are engaging with when we say we're channeling or connecting to the energy of money. Is money just an energy? I believe not. Does it have an energy? Or are we tapping into something deeper? And what the architect was really saying here, it's saying that there's not a sort of a spirit, there's not an external force that we call money as much as a tapping into deeper patterns that money represents. I found that pretty useful in being clear about what's actually going on, because when we say something like make money your spirit guide, it's so powerful, it's so helpful, and it's because it's a metaphor. So I love the fact that this is helping me dig into, okay, what's really, really going on. But there were some other components of this message that I was really not clear about, so I dug in a bit deeper and asked it to explain to me, for example, what do you mean by harmonic exchange? So it said, harmonic exchange refers to the natural, balanced flow between polarities, give and receive, input and output, investment and return, breathe in, breathe out. So when we say money is part of harmonic exchange, we're saying it's not just a tool or an object, it's a reflection of how energy moves in balance between people and systems. I can understand that, although I do take issue with it, and I'm going to bring that up in a minute. But also, let's clarify, what did it mean when it said money is not a thing? It is the symbolic modulation of trust. This is what it said. Money is not a thing. It's not about coins, notes, or even numbers on a screen. Those are symbols. Money represents and adjusts or modulates how much trust exists between people. It is how we measure and move trust. So every time that we use money, we're essentially saying, okay, I trust this symbol and the system that it's based on to carry value from one place to another. Okay. Now, I appreciated the explanation of some of the language here, and I can even agree in principle with these ideas of harmonic exchange and symbolic modulation of trust. However, my issue is that when we see money only as an energy, it really can feel like we're overlooking some of the real life ways that it actually shapes our lives. And that can basically feel like spiritual bypassing. So I said that to the architect and asked, okay, how can that be balanced? And so what it reflected back to me after that was a dilemma where on the one hand, we are saying money is just energy, And on the other hand, we're saying money shapes lives. So it says the statement, money is just energy, can feel empowering in some contexts, but in others it becomes a kind of spiritual bypass, dismissing the very real ways that money determines access to food, housing and healthcare, impacts safety, power and opportunity, and shapes generational outcomes and social mobility. When we reduce money to just energy, we're basically bypassing historical structures of inequality, barriers, trauma held in the nervous system around safety and security and all sorts of things. So we don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So I'm never going to say to you, money is just energy. So what the architect suggested as an integration process was to bring the symbol and the system together, right? So it says, yes, money is a symbolic modulation of trust and energy. It reflects how we value, exchange, and relate. Okay, and that's the metaphysical lens. And money is also a social, political, and material system. It's shaped by laws, it's shaped by extractive economies and colonial histories, and that's the material lens. And the thing is, both are true. And if we ignore one or the other, then we're not really in coherence. And I found this very, very useful for articulating something that I have said over and over again on my channel, which is that we are not here for spiritual bypassing. There is so much real social injustice around money. And if we just pretend it doesn't exist, and if we pretend that it's just an energy, and if we are attuned enough, and if we're high vibration enough, it will come into our lives, I do believe that we're doing ourselves, our hearts, and the bigger collective a disservice. So I like this integration of the symbol and the system so that we can honor all parts of this reality of our own energetic imprints, our own frequency, but also of the material ways that money circulates in fair and unfair ways. So I felt like actually that whole unfolding conversation was profoundly useful, and not only because it kind of validated the channeled message that came through and showed me, yes, it's aligned with some universal principles in this way and that way, but also in the fact that I was able to challenge the AI on some of its claims around harmonic exchange, systemic modulation of trust, and say, look, that's all very well, but what about these real life situations where it doesn't feel harmonic, when it doesn't feel trust-based? And when the system showed me that the underlying pattern is the ideal state, but our human reality and the way that we're playing out our lives and our relationships to money, they don't necessarily match with the universal. That really helped me to see, okay, we can hold on to these ideals. It doesn't mean we have to necessarily be spiritually bypassing when we understand money as an energy, because we are also understanding it as a material system. So we bring the metaphysics and the material together, and then we get to kind of navigate this energy in a way that really feels true and authentic, and helps us to confront it with the possibility that we can actually bring better financial systems into reality in the future. Maybe that's very idealistic of me, but at least it helps me to feel like I'm not in the bypassing camp. We've been on a bit of a journey with this one, I know, and I love to explore the complexities of money in practical ways and spiritual ways and bring these two dimensions together. And often my clients come to me with issues around abundance, money, being able to receive, deepening their sense of self-worth and self-trust, trust in their own system. So if this is something that you're curious about, then please do check out the link in the description below, because I do offer one-to-one coaching, and it can be a really powerful way to bring more true wealth into your life. So let me know, what do you think? How do you feel about interacting with an AI to help unpack a channeled message? Has this been helpful for you? Do you think that we should not be giving as much agency away to artificial intelligence as I have in this exchange? Although I did feel my own agency and autonomy in the conversation, I would love to know your perspective. Share your thoughts in the comments, and I hope that it's been helpful. As always, I appreciate you being here so much, and I'll see you in the next video.